My name is Igor Eidman. I'm a sociologist and a publicist. Over the past years, I've been studying the nature and crimes of Putin's regime. Boris Nemtsov was my cousin and a very close childhood friend. I knew him basically from childhood. My father, his uncle, was his science teacher. Incidentally, very few people know that Boris was not only a talented politician, he was a very talented physicist when he was young. He had every opportunity to make a wonderful academic career in science. Had he continued his career in physics, he would have become a famous researcher. However, his political ideas, his ideology of freedom, ideology of liberalism that he followed all his life brought him into politics. I need to say that this is partly my responsibility. I was always interested in politics, and in our youth I did a lot to get Boris engaged into that. With my friends during Perestroika, we talked to him a lot about him becoming a very interesting and advanced politician, that he could make a wonderful political career and bring a lot of good things to the country. As a result of those efforts and as a result of his own opinion, he got involved into politics. As we know, it resulted in the tragic consequences. I still feel bad, still regret that I partly goaded him into this. But who could know at that time that politics in Russia would become lethally dangerous? Boris always consistently championed liberal values. Václav Havel was one of the people who inspired him, together with Andrei Sakharov, of course, and other people who promoted freedom and who did everything in order to develop political freedom in the world. I'm not going to go into detail about Boris's political career. I would like to give you only one small episode. People who lived in Russia know that in the end of 1990s, Boris was a very promising presidential candidate. More people supported him than any other candidate. However, the ruling oligarchy could not allow him to run on their behalf. They decided to choose Vladimir Putin, the full antagonist of Boris. That was not only because Boris's political opinions, but because of his human qualities. Such person as Boris could not definitely fit into that criminal and corrupted bureaucratic system that existed in Russia at that time, and that is even worse by many factors of multitude right now. As a result, Boris became a member of the opposition. He did quite a lot in order to prevent the arrival of the authoritarian criminal Putin's regime. He was very actively involved in disseminating information to the population. He published reports. In those reports, he talked about the corrupted and criminal system that ruled in Russia. He distributed those reports online and during mass meetings. He arranged political movements to protect political rights and freedoms, as well as various demonstrations and manifestations in Russia. Authorities persecuted him for that, of course. On multiple occasions, he was arrested by the police, and there were several provocations that were done against him by the pro-Kremlin youth movements. However, they didn't break him. They did not make him immigrate. As a result, the authorities assassinated him. I'm absolutely confident that this base murder that was committed with extreme cynicism at the walls of the Kremlin, this murder should be blamed on the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin. He actually commissioned that murder, I'm confident. No one in Russia except for Putin could have taken the responsibility to give the order to commit such a crime with such resonance all over the world, such a big political assassination. The system is built in such a way that no one else but Putin could have given such an order. Even Mr. Kadyrov could not have done it, or at least would not do it without Putin's direct command. The responsibility is on Putin, and he has to be prosecuted prosecuted for that. And another important thing, I would like to draw a political analogy. People who know history of fascist Italy remember Matteotti's assassination. That is the assassination of the oppositional politician who did something similar to what Boris did. He exposed corruption of the authorities and he tried to prevent Mussolini's fascist dictatorship. Mussolini's people assassinated him, and after that Italy moved irrevocably towards fascism. I've been studying Putin regime for quite some time. The same thing is happening in Russia. I can see that over the past few years the regime is acquiring the features of the fascist dictatorships that they used to have in Portugal, Spain, Italy, etc. in the middle of the 20th century. It's the nationalistic, chauvinistic ideology. It is the aggressive politics towards annexing other lands, the merger of the state and the business, the terror against the opposition. Putin's regime has all the features of the fascist dictatorship. Recently, by the way, I wrote a book about it. That book is going to be published in Poland. That book is called Putin, the New Fascism and the War in Ukraine. And the last thing I would like to say, we are all appalled by this horrible event, by the assassination of our friend. However, what needs to be done is to take specific actions. Enough words. Something needs to be done in order to stop the terror against the opposition, the crimes that the Putin regime is committing. I know that in the room there are people who knew Boris and would like to appeal to you as well. It's time to create an international independent commission to investigate the crimes of the Putin's regime, including Nemtsov's assassination. Russian law enforcement authorities will not do anything to really investigate that crime, and the guilty party will not be prosecuted. Only the national community, only the human rights activists will be able to try, if not to punish the criminals now, then to assure that the criminals are punished sometime in the future. The criminals who committed Boris's assassination and other crimes, including crimes in Ukraine. Thank you.